What they do, YouTube? It's your boy King David in this bitch. And I'm back at y'all again with another video. So before we get started on this thing, if you're new here, be sure to go ahead and subscribe to your boy's channel. And everybody, and I do mean everybody, be sure to hit that like button so we can continue to grow like we need to grow on this channel. You know what I mean? So with all that out the window, man, let's get into the video, man, and you see what the title is. Errol, Spence'S trainer, Blu-ray, inadvertently exposes Errol Spence for ducking Terence Crawford. So, you know, this whole thing is hilarious to me, man. This Blu-ray dude, man, you know, it's funny with Errol Spence fanboys in general, man, because these dudes, they go so hard to protect Errol Spence, you know. I mean, we know what it is. I mean, they come up with every excuse in the book. I mean, so much to the point where it's sickening, all the excuses that they come up with. But even no matter how ridiculous and absurd the excuses and the deflections and all these things go, in some cases they still end up putting their foot in their mouth and telling the truth. So what we about to do here is we're gonna listen to a video or a live stream from Blu-ray, okay, which I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but I mentioned it now. Blu-ray, Errol Spence's strength and conditioning coach. We're gonna go ahead and listen to a clip from him, and I'm gonna break that motherfucking down. So without further ado, let's go on and do it.
This. Please start with these narratives. Okay? We're making up all these stories. Just know one thing, they're gonna fight eventually.
So here we are, not even 30 seconds into the clip, and Blu-ray already fucks up. He already fucks up and starts telling us what it really is. He says, we're gonna get this fight eventually. Eventually? Eventually? Don't eventually mean sooner or later. Don't eventually mean someday. Don't eventually mean maybe, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully, you know, some real vague ass, bull ass shit. This is supposed to be Errol Spence's strength and conditioning coach, his right hand man, his partner. And he's talking about Errol Spence and Terence Crawford happening eventually. So red flag number one has already stuck out to us bright and early on into this goddamn clip. You know, but there's so much more to unpack. You know what I'm saying? Because we see what it is. I mean, after all this time that's passed, we see what it is. Blu-ray just said the fight will happen eventually. So let that stick in for a little bit, and we're gonna get right into this next clip because this shit just goes downhill from here. So let's get it.
I believe they're gonna fight. I don't know when they're gonna fight, but I believe that the fight is gonna be made.
So red flag number two. He said, I don't know when they're gonna fight, but I believe the fight is gonna happen. So already, like, anybody who had it in their head that they were gonna fight next, get that out your goddamn head. Blu-ray not only told you that the fight will happen eventually, which means pretty much no time soon, in the future sometime, even though it's been maybe about 4 years that we've been waiting on this fight. So Blu-ray just already told you that the fight will happen eventually. But not only that, but he just openly admitted that he doesn't know when the fight is gonna happen. so I mean, and this is Errol Spence's right hand man. So you telling me Errol Spence ain't whispering this nigga ear that he gonna fight Terence Crawford like next, or maybe the fight after the next or anything like that? You telling me Errol Spence ain't whispered nothing like that in his ear? It's already been about 4-5 years, and we still getting words like eventually and I don't know when it's gonna happen and things like that. I mean, ridiculous. But let's keep it going, man, because we still getting to the juicy part. Let's keep it going.
Right now, the fight is to the point where it's hyped up. Okay? It's hyped up enough. I believe that it will sell more now. The fight has been cooked. Now it's time, to pull the cake out the oven, right?
Okay, so you gotta read in between the lines on this one. He says, I believe the cake is fully cooked and now it's time to come out the oven. So you gotta read in between the lines. So if he's saying that the fight is fully cooked, it means that they were letting it bake, right? In order for something to cook, you gotta put it in the oven, right? So that means that they put it in the oven and they were letting it bake. So even with that statement alone, doesn't that imply that they were sitting on this fight the entire time? Doesn't that imply that they were trying to marinate the fight this entire time? Doesn't that imply that up until this very moment they weren't interested in the fight because they were, in their minds trying to let the fight build up? You know what I'm saying? Doesn't that imply all these things? You know what I'm saying? But we just getting started. There's a lot more to unpack. Let's keep it going.
But stop with this Errol Spencer scare now. That man is a fighter. I don't believe no fighter is scared to fight. It's just that in today's era, since Floyd Mayweather came on the scene, and there's big business involved, and Floyd exposed a lot of the promoters. Also, Floyd showed fighters how to set themselves up for life, because they should be transparent. There are a lot of boxers that have been hit across the head, upside the head, slapped across the head, and they're broke.
Okay, so we get it, right? Motherfuckers gotta get paid. I understand. Floyd Mayweather definitely opened the doors when it comes to fighters getting paid and fighters getting they money's worth. You know what I'm saying? For the fights. Because it's a dangerous sport. Get your bread. So doesn't this just sound like a team that's unsure about their fighter? Like, you're trying to get your money. I understand it, but that seems to be the priority here. Kind of like with Sean Porter. If you listen to my video, I got a video out that was talking about, how I thought Sean Porter was cashing out in his fight with Terence Crawford. And the way how Blu-ray's talking right now, it sounds like Errol Spence's gonna be cashing out in his fight with Terence Crawford as well. He want to make sure he get the maximum amount of money before he take this L on the way out. That's what this is sounding like to me. I mean, just keeping it a stack. You know what I'm saying? But nobody got anything against people trying to get their money, fighters trying to get their money, But let's be realistic out here, man. If you gotta get double and triple your highest payday in order to step in the ring with somebody, we know what it is. We know what it is. I'm not buying none of the bullshit. Get your money, but obviously there's a reason why you need top dollar in order to fight certain people. You know what I'm saying? Manny Pacquiao needed $40 million to fight Bud Crawford. Okay. Teofimo Lopez needed $10 million to fight Devin Haney. Jamal Charlo turned down $7 million to fight Demetrius Andrade. We know what it is. You need that bag before you step in the ring. You know what I'm saying? You need that bag before you step in the ring and get your ass whooped. That's really what it is. You know what I mean? But let's keep it going.
And they're broke today. So Floyd Mayweather actually did everyone a favor with showing people how to get real money and leave the game with real money so they can take care of their families and establish generational wealth. I support that 100%. I'm not against that under no circumstances. But
so first of all, who is he talking to? He not against. He wants you to get the bag. You can't be talking to Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford hasn't had any issue with any purses. Bud Crawford's not requesting any absorbent amount of money in order to get in the ring. Bud Crawford hasn't told anybody 60, 40, 70, 30 or whatever I give you. Bud Crawford didn't say he needed $10 million to fight Errol Spence. Like what Keith Thurman said that he needed in order to fight Terence Crawford. Like what Teofimo Lopez said he needed in order to fight Devin Haney. Like the $7 million that Jamal Charlo turned down in order to fight Demetrius Andrade. Like the $40 million Canelo Alvarez turned down to fight Demetrius Andrade. Terence Crawford hasn't demanded any absorbent amount of money in order to step in the ring with anybody. So when you're talking about securing the bag, who are you talking to, sir? Who you talking to? The only person I know that I'm familiar with right now in the welterweight division who needs a certain amount of money in order to fight somebody is Errol Spence. You know what I mean? So clearly you got to be talking about Errol Spence, sir. It got to be Errol Spence. There's no one else you could be talking to. And as Blu-ray, as Errol's strength and conditioning coach, his right-hand man, seems that you're driving at something good, sir. But let me continue to let you hang yourself, my guy.
In the process of doing business, I am an advocate of fighting the best. We still, outside of the business, I don't even mind y'all cooking a few fights, right? I don't even mind y'all taking a few, cherry picking, just a little bit.
So hold on, bro. So hold on, cuzzo. Let me make sure I get this straight, bro. So you saying that you're an advocate of seeing the best versus the best outside the business? So what does that mean? Like with the business, you're not an advocate of seeing the best versus the best because of the business, but outside of the business, you do want to see the best versus the best? Is that what you're trying to say? Like you're selective about your best versus the best? Because that's what that sounds like. But pushing that aside for a second, you say you're an advocate of seeing the best versus the best. So if you are indeed an advocate of seeing the best versus the best, then that doesn't really line up with what it is that you're saying, good sir. Then you talk about cooking the fight, and then you talk about cherry picking a little bit. Hold on, wait a minute. Cooking the fight, cherry picking. Who are you talking to again, sir? Who are you talking about right now? Who are you talking to? What do you mean cooking the fight? I mean, Bud Crawford's been trying to get the fight with Errol Spence this entire time. Bud Crawford's been trying to get the fight with Keith Thurman this entire time. Bud Crawford's been trying to get the fight with Sean Porter this entire. Bud has been trying to fight everybody at welterweight. So who's cooking the fight? If anybody's cooking the fight, wouldn't it be your boy Errol Spence? Because that has to be who you talking to. It just gotta be. It is who you talking to. Because there's no one else you could be talking to. And then he also goes on to say that he doesn't mind a little cherry picking. So you trying to say that you don't mind a little cherry picking because maybe that's the game plan for Team Errol? It's to cherry pick just a little bit, in your words, just to cherry pick a little bit, or just to let a fight cook a little bit, quote unquote, in your words. Is that what it really is? Because that's what it sounds like to me. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of cherry picking, a little bit of cooking. You know what I'm saying? Take an easy fight here and there. Is that what Errol doing? That sounds very, very familiar. That sounds exactly like the Errol Spence game plan. But let's keep it going.
So what I'm saying is this. Cool. Get your money. I understand you don't need to take a hard fight every fight. But at the end of the day, make sure we get the fights that we need. Because what we don't want to happen is like Jamel Charlo and Hurd, when we had two of the best people at 154 and Hurd ended up losing because they cooked the fight too long. That's what we don't want.
Again, who are you talking to? Well, the only person that's cooking fights right now is Errol Spence. So clearly you got to be talking to Errol Spence. You don't want to cook the fight too long, get your money. It sounds like you talking directly to Errol Spence. Errol Spence, get your money. Errol Spence, get your money. But fight the best. Fight the best competition out there. Sound like Blu-ray out here telling the truth, don't it? Sound like Blu-ray out here spitting facts, don't it? You know what I'm saying? Riding against his guy Errol Spence is what it sounds like. And the thing is, I totally agree with this dude. I totally agree with him 155%. How many when cherry picking goes wrong situations do we have to see in boxing right now? How many times do we have to watch a guy lose to a cherry pick? You know what I'm saying? In order for us as boxing fans to get it in our heads that these fights need to happen now at their peak, rather than letting it, quote unquote, according to this dude, overcook and one of these dudes lose, and now all of a sudden the fight that would have been the biggest fight for boxing, the biggest fight for the sport, is no longer worth a damn because both fighters done lost. They got 2 losses. One dude got knocked out. Like, look at Amir Khan versus Kell Brook right now. Like, look at that sham going on right now. That fight should have happened about 6 years ago. And now they just now getting around to making the fight happen. It looks vaguely, mildly entertaining. But that fight would have been huge 5-6 years ago. Now nobody gives a shit, really. It's like an afterthought. It's like a goddamn Logan Paul event or something like that. Well, I can't say Logan Paul because Logan Paul is a big thing in the sport. But it's like one of those Triller events, you know, when some old people fight, you know. It's like Shannon Briggs and Rampage Jackson or Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones or something. Nah, that's big too. That's big too. So I can't even compare it to that. But it's like one of those afterthought kind of fights that nobody really cares about, and it's kind of going on in the background. How many times do we got to see that as boxing fans? I totally agree with Blu-ray, but again, my guy, who are you talking to? You know what I'm saying? Because you can't be talking to Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford's not trying to cook nothing. Bud Crawford's trying to get in the ring with all the top guys, including your guy Errol Spence. And the only person at this point holding up the fight is your guy. And literally, it sounds like you're calling out your guy Errol Spence for ducking. But let's keep it going because there's a little bit more we got to get to.
That's right. But at the end of the day, we don't want to cook these fights to the point where we miss them. That's my only thing. Me personally, I want Earl to take the fight. I want him to demand the fight. But he's a grown man. I cannot. He's only my brother. I love him to death. Gonna always love him. But he makes his own decisions. Period. I'm only a strength and conditioning coach. I do what I'm supposed to do, and I do what I'm asked to do. And it is what it is. I don't worry about things that I cannot control. I just support them. I'm a fan of boxing, etc. Okay?
So there you have it, folks. There you have it. Out of the horse's mouth. There you have it. What that sound like to you, man? What that sound like to you? I tried to tell the motherfucker to fight, but he don't want to fight. I can't make him fight. Ain't that what that sound like? Ain't that what Blu-ray trying to tell us? That he been trying to get this motherfucker in the ring, but he do what he want to do when he want to do it, and he don't want to get in the ring. This dude just literally inadvertently said that Earl been ducking. And not only that, but he been telling them to get in the ring, and Earl ain't been wanting to get in the ring. You know what I'm saying? And he talked about, and just to recap everything, the dude brought up how we want to letting fights cook and build up money because Earl trying to cash out on the fight, right? You know what I mean? He letting fights cook and a little bit of cherry picking. Pick up on all the key words, y'all. Pick up on all the key words. Cook, cherry pick. I tried to. I can't make them do nothing. Y'all peep game, man. Peep what Blu-ray trying to say, man. Blu-ray just told y'all out of his mouth. This is Errol Spence'S strength and conditioning coach. Blu-ray just told y'all that Errol Spence is ducking Terence Crawford. He just told y'all, in other words. There's no other way to interpret this than that. Blu-ray just told y'all this man is ducking. What more do y'all need? What other evidence do y'all need in order to understand that Errol Spence is ducking Terence Crawford? It is what it is, y'all. I mean, you know what I mean? Fuck all that. You know, people always bring up promotional stuff, and people want to bring up Bob Arum and Al Heyman and Sides of the Street and all this shit, man. And it's like, at the end of the day, don't none of us know the details behind any of that. At the end of the day, none of us work with Al Heyman exclusively. None of us work with Top Rank. None of us work with these guys in order to know the inner workings, and none of us study the contracts in order to know exactly what's in them and these sorts of things, and whether or not deals can happen and that sort of thing. You know what I mean? All that is that, right? You know, all that is that, and we don't know the inner workings of that, and we can't speak on that. But what we can speak on is what's coming out of people's mouths. Errol Spence, up until now, has shown no interest in the Terence Bud Crawford fight. Period. And his strength and conditioning coach, out of his own mouth, just corroborated everything that Bud fans and a lot of boxing fans have been saying for the last 4 years. You know, but I don't expect the Errol fanboys to take what I'm saying here today and it makes sense to them. This shit is gonna go right over all you dudes' heads, because you're gonna try to interpret this in all kinds of different ways, and honestly, there's no other way to interpret it. I just broke it down for you step by step by step. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is at the end of the day. You know? But I know y'all gonna read into it anyway. Y'all gonna want to read into it, man. But that's what I got to say, man. Hey, listen. If you roll with your boy this long, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let everybody out there know we talk boxing, man. You know what I'm saying? But until next time, man, I'm gonna holler at y'all. Peace.